morning to Dr. Ikin. Thank you for the opportunity to present our research proposal today. My name is Farfazana Binti Zamri and my project partner is Nur Anissa Binti Nazuddin. Our study is titled The Influence of Food Nephobia on Tourists, Visit and Intention, a study on a Cancaluk consumption in Malacca. In the following presentation, I will share the study background, the problem statement, the conceptual framework, and our methodology. And lastly is the expected contribution of the research. Next, I will introduce our introduction. That chapter 1 introduces the study by outlining the background of the issue, the problem it addresses, and the objective guide the research. The central focus is food nephobia, tourist fear of reluctance toward and avoidance of unfamiliar foods, positioned as a key psychological barrier affecting visit intention to traditional food experience. We use Cancaluk in Malacca as the focal case. Why does this matter? Because its food tourism is growing rapidly and Malacca heritage cuisine is a central to its destination appeal. Yet, not every tourist who visit end up trying or intended to try its most distinctive traditional dishes. This chapter will cover 5 parts. The one is the research background, and then the problem statement. Third is the research question and the objective, and lastly, the significance of the study. Okay, next I will talk about a research background. First of all, traditional food is a major driver of cultural heritage tourism, letting visitors experience a destination history and identify through cuisine from a Chang et al. 2024. Second is Malacca, a UNESCO World Heritage City, is renowned for its multicultural Peranakan food heritage. Yet some of its most iconic dishes are also its most unfamiliar to outsiders. Third is Cancaluk, a fermented tiny shrimp condiment with a strong smell, texture, and appearance is a signature Malacca. Peranakan food that is a frequently unfamiliar food of a cooking to first-time tourists. And lastly is a food nephobia, the reluctance or fear of trying unfamiliar food from Turila et al. 2026 is one of the strongest psychological barriers explaining why tourists avoid such dishes. Spotlight food about Cancaluk. Cancaluk was selected as the local food because it maximizes the contrast between curiosity and hesitation, ideal for isolating the effect of food nephobia on visitor intention. For context, Malacca was recorded at 30.5 million tourist arrival in 2024, approximately 10.25 million domestic and 3.13 million international, reinforcing its role as a leading food tourism destination. Move to the problem statement. We structure our problem statement using the idea, reality, and a consequence approach. First is idea. For idea as a UNESCO heritage city and top food tourism destination, Malacca is expected to give tourists rich opportunity to taste authentic traditional dishes, including distinctive items like Cancaluk. Next is a reality. In reality, in practice, food nephobia, fear of the unfamiliar, reluctance to try new food, and outright avoidance causes many tourists to reject dishes like Cancaluk due to its smell, appearance, and unfamiliar preparation method. Lastly is a consequence. This hesitation limits authentic culinary engagement, weaken tourists' intention to visit food established serving, such as dishes, and may undercut the sustainability of Malacca heritage food business. This gap between heritage food promotion and tourist heritage forms the foundation of our study. Okay, next slide. I will talk about the research question and research objective. Based on this problem, we formulated two objective and two research question. Objective 1 is to identify the factors that influence tourists' intention to consume traditional food in Malacca. This is related to research question number 1. What are the factors that influence tourists' intention to consume traditional food in Malacca? Next is objective number 2 is to explore the relationship between food nephobia and tourist intention to consume traditional food. And this is related to research questions number 2, which is what is the influence of food nephobia on tourist intention to consume traditional food in Malacca. Next, I will talk about the significance of study. This study offers two forms of significance. First of all is practically it's helped tourism authorities and Malacca destination marketers design strategy that easier tourist hesitation toward dishes like cincalo. It's also guide a restaurant operator and food entrepreneurs on menu presentation. Next, food description and testing opportunity. Overall, it support effort to strengthen visit intention to heritage food, establish and sustain local food business. Secondly, is theoretically, this study provide empirical evidence on food nephobia, multi-dimension, in fact, fear, reluctance, and avoidance on visit intention with the Malaysia contents. It fills the research gap on food nephobia among tourists, especially in Malacca, a heritage food tourism hotspot, and offer a reference framework for future food tourism and consumer behavior research using a single iconic local food. Okay, next I will talk about the research gap. Based on the literature review, we identify 4 key gaps. First, the literature consistently show that food nephobia reduce tourists' willingness to engage with unfamiliar cuisine with quantitative survey using SEM or PLS-SEM as the dominant method for testing this relationship. Second, most previous studies were conducted outside Malaysia, largely in Western countries or other Asian destinations such as Taiwan, Indonesia, and Thailand. Research examining food nephobia influence on tourist behavioral intention, especially in Malaysia and particularly in Malacca, remain limited. Third is a few studies treat food nephobia as a multidimensional construct, fear, reluctance, and avoidance, rather than a single overall score. 4. No identified study isolates a single iconic heritage dish, such as a cincaluk, to test its effect on visit intention in a multicultural heritage destination. This is principally to give our study addresses.
Next, I will explain the key literature that supports our study. The food nephobia scale developed by Planet and Hobden in 1992 is the most widely used instrument to measure people's reluctance to try unfamiliar foods. We adapted this scale to measure food nephobia in our study. Previous study also found that food nephobia has a negative influence on tourists' intention to consume traditional food. For example, Mat et al. 2021 and Tan and Ismail 2023 reported that tourists who have higher food nephobia are less likely to try traditional cuisine. Similarly to Lee and Chen 2024 found that familiarity and exposure can reduce food nephobia and increase tourists' willingness to try ethnic food. In addition, Testing et al. 2022 showed that tourists who perceive unfamiliar food are risky are more likely to avoid local cuisine. Lastly, Hart Alcocer and Hernandez Rojas 2022 found that positive food experiences can increase tourist satisfaction and encourage future visit intention. Overall, this previous study support that relationship between foodnophobia and tourist behavioral intention, which form the foundation of our research. Next, I would like to explain our conceptual framework. In this study, foodnophobia is our independent variable, while visit intention is our dependent variable. Foodnophobia is divided into 3 dimensions, which are fear of unfamiliar foods, reluctance to try new foods, and avoidance of traditional foods. These 3 dimensions are expected to negatively influence tourist visit intention toward Chinchalu establishment in Malacca. Based on our conceptual framework, we developed 3 hypotheses. Hypothesis 1 states that fear of unfamiliar food has a significant negative influence on tourist visit intention to Chinchalu establishment in Malacca. Hypothesis 2 proposed that reluctance to try new foods also has a significant negative influence on visit intention. Lastly, Hypothesis C suggested that avoidance of traditional food has a significant negative influence on tourist visit intention. Overall, we expect that the higher of the level of foodnophobia, the lower the tourist intention to visit and consume Chinchalu. Now, I will explain our research methodology. The study uses a quantitative research approach because we want to measure the relationship between foodnophobia and visit intention. The research design is correlational as we aim to examine the influence of the independent variables on the dependent variables. This is also a cross-sectional study where data will be collected only once. The study will be conducted in Malacca and the unit of analysis is individual tourists aged 18 years and above. Our target population include both domestic and international tourists aged 18 years and above who have visited or intend to visit traditional food establishment in Malacca. Since there is no complete list of tourists, we will use purposive sampling. We aim to collect at least 300 completed questionnaire, which is considered sufficient for PLS SEM analysis. The questionnaire will be distributed online through travel-related social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and also Telegram. Our questionnaire consists of 3 sections. Section A, collect respondent demographic and travel information. Section B, measures foodnophobia including fear of unfamiliar foods, reluctance to try new foods, and avoidance of traditional foods. Section C, measure visit intention, which measure respondent willingness to visit, try, and recommend Chinchalu establishment. All questions will use a 5-point Likert scale ranging from 1 strongly disagree to 5 strongly agree. Before the actual survey, the questionnaire will be validated by experts and tested through a pilot study to ensure its reliability. The data collection process consists of 5 stages. First, we will develop the questionnaire and obtain expert validation. Second, we will conduct a pilot test involving 30 respondents. Third, the questionnaire will be distributed through Google Forms using Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Telegram. Fourth, we will monitor the response until we achieve our target of 300 respondents. Finally, we will screen the data by removing incomplete, duplicate, or inconsistent responses before analysis. The whole process is expected to take approximately 6 weeks. Once the data has been collected, it will be analyzed using IBM SPSS version 29 and Smart PLS4. SPSS will be used for data screening, descriptive statistics, and reliability testing using Crunchbench Alpha. Next, Smart PLS4 will be used to evaluate both the measurement model and the structural model. Finally, bootstrapping with 500 resample will be conducted to test our hypothesis, and the hypothesis will be supported if the p-value is less than 0.05. Our expected finding is the higher foodnophobia, including fear, reluctance, and avoidance, will lead to lower visit intention toward Chinchalu establishment in Malacca. The finding can help tourist authorities and local food businesses develop better marketing strategies and tasting experiences to reduce tourist hesitation. Overall, the study fills the research gap by focusing on a single iconic traditional food, Cenchaluk and contributes to both food tourism theory and practical tourism development.